morning, y'all. Ba-da-bop, ba-da-bop, bop. Mother.
Let's go. Let's go, everybody. Let's go. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hashtag Faith Radio.
This is your faux harpsichord leader, the fan, and KFAN, KAHN. The con! The con. What do they say in the business? Ba-da-bop, ba-da-bop. Good morning. Yesterday's Minnesota Vikings training camp practice was all ballyhooed. Second day in pads, high intensity, and a day off today. So the beat writers were talking about the anticipated Wednesday mid-afternoon doozy between the offense raising quarterbacks and a defense looking to swarm. End of the equation, no fights, lots of trash talking, some good, some not so good. And the long practice had some moments. The crowd legit went to oohing and eyeing. Rib pain, though. Ooh. Justin Jefferson. Jake Holday. Ooh. Damon Claiborne. Holy cow. To wit. Jordan Mason looks better than last year. Zipped around the left edge. Made a sweet cut. And was making a man miss from getting to the house. And the crowd was all wide-eyed. Ooh. I mean, they were just going nuts yesterday. There's a big crowd, too. Ty Felton is not going down without a fight. Now, 3, 14, and 18 purportedly will play the most. And 84 and 87 get a bunch of snaps as the tight ends go. The second-year Maryland product is bursting with confidence and is getting behind and around them all. Ooh. I mean, he got behind James Pierce and was gone. Crowd oohing and eyeing at Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center. Tight end Gavin Bartholomew is so steamy. The beats are mashing on his skill set, and our beats, the beat writers, our beats are quality. While getting a, for yours truly, Gavin Bartholomew, though, while getting a complete review. Well, we got a nice little break in the song coming up now. 3, 2, and bass! Gavin Bartholomew, you say? Now, while yours truly was getting a complete review of a Goo Goo Dolls performance from the exclusive perch, the binoculars, I think, caught him out working Jay Ward for a huge catch over the middle. TE3 is what we call him in the business.
Time for 2 more.
Tight end 3 is what we call him in the business. We think. Remember, Gavin Bartholomew out all last year after being selected in that sweet tight ends draft that included Ty Warren, Colston Loveland, Terrence Ferguson, and Harold Fannin Jr. I got all his albums. In fact, this is Harold Fannin Jr. covering some Curtis Mayfield, 9 to noon, KFAN. Ooh, the con! That's what they say. C.J. Ham was at practice. So, of course, rookie Max Bredesen was doing everything he could to show out. Got to do that. Vikings immortality, C.J. Ham at practice yesterday. By the way, Max Bredesen, we believe, joins 9 to noon tomorrow. And we happen to be quite excited about that. We will be at the Minnesota Vikings facility, the palatial purple paradise known as Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center, and that'll be 8 days in front of a football game against the New York Giants to kick off preseason 2026. After from the exclusive perch, exclusive Vikings Radio Network perch overlooking perfectly manicured practice fields, after an elongated chat about LaMelo Ball and what's next with the Timberwolves from the exclusive perch, I began to sense some more oohs and ahhs. So I'm like, Trey Lyles be damned. I don't mean to be rude here, man, but the Specs went right to the far field to see 32 Chaz Chambliss and the cut-off sleeves with the big arms standing up running back Jordan Mims. So then, like 3:35 in the afternoon, one-on-ones between the rushers and the offensive linemen.
Ooh.
Gink v. O'Neal.
How was it?
I mean, that was some high-end football activity right there. It was just intense.
What did I do?
It was all pro-like. I mean, with both of them. It was 75 and 43, and it was all pro-like and high-end action, eliciting and oh, that crowd yesterday was so engaged with the oohs and the ahs. That
lived up to the billing, didn't it?
That yesterday was the bomb.
Yeah.
That was 3:35. Around 3:40 in the afternoon, Goal Day was late on a drop, and Jayshon Jones zipped behind him. Negative for the rookie, who still is work in progress, specifically with the Tampa 2 drops. Good for the practice squad guy, Jayshon Jones. We'll see if Kevin O'Connell features him in preseason games coming up a week from Saturday at MetLife Stadium. That was 3:40 in the afternoon. 3:45 for a practice that began at like 2:30. Kyler throws an excellent deep shot center of the field to Jawan Jennings, who ran right by Theo Jackson. Long touchdown and more. And oh, that crowd was just digging it. 3:50 in the afternoon. There he is again. There he is. Can't get rid of him. Not that they're going to get rid of him. He's a gunner, and he was drafted last year. But wide receiver Ty Felton out there stealing the show. 60-yard touchdown behind Metellus and Isaiah Rodgers. So I told you, don't kill the messenger. I told you, Ty Felton is stealing the show every single practice. He's getting behind everybody. So, I mean, that could be a Jacob. That could be Isaiah Rodgers. Could be Yashua Metellus, or it could be cornerback du jour. Ty Felton is stealing the show during 2026 training camp. They're having a tough time covering Ty Felton, and that's been all camp. And the hope is O'Connell with Jayshon Jones and Ty Felton make this thing fun. Features Ty Felton in certain facets of these preseason games. There was a catch that provided the loudest ooh and that catch that he had where he got behind Theo Jackson, the loudest oohs and ahs at about 3:50 until 4:35 in the afternoon. Right at the end of practice, old Justin Jefferson.
He had to, didn't he?
18. Those oohs and ahs were cute, everybody. But watch me now. He finished things with a long TD from Kyler, the creator. And it was easy. Ooh. Because while being double teamed, ooh, one of the defenders fell. There goes 18. We were sans and gritty, but he was out there having fun.
Did he pluck one over the head of a couple defenders yesterday at one point, too?
Why wouldn't he?
There was a little bit of hubbub about that.
I heard some ooh and some But I was, at that point, receiving an in-depth breakdown of Goo Goo Dolls' performance of a song called Iris. The Con!
Time for 2 more.
And I happen to like Iris a lot.
Personal foul. Clipping.
It's a fantastic song.
Personal foul. Clipping.
But there were to be had all up and down the field in Eagan yesterday. So day 2 in pads. Some good, some not so good. Still, Minnesota Vikings, absolutely a work in progress, in my opinion. And at this time, ladies and gentlemen, the announcer will field questions from the congregation if there are any. And we will begin with the Con! What kind of questions you got over there?
Well, my questions is, what am I doing wrong as a sports dad, PA? Because in the last, 8-9 days, I have taken my kids to a Twins game and left before a bottom of the 9th inning grand slam. And then a week later,
Big boy's back!
I take my girls to their first training camp practice.
Yeah.
And because of scheduling, we chose Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Tuesday was behind the first day of pads.
Yeah.
Shorts and shells, though.
Yeah.
And in front of the most ballyhooed practice, most active practice.
So far.
A practice that has been filled with myriad and ahhs. In an 8-day period, PA, I've missed all the good stuff. All the good stuff. So,
well,
I saw a certain beat writer.
I got the announcer here for you.
Let me ask questions, and then Rubes, text and talkbacks.
Aaron Donald is working out for the Rams. Oh, no! Oh, that's super duper special.
Well, did you see, I think there was news yesterday that they wouldn't have had to report it, but he wore their helmet. And there's something about their rules around using specific team equipment on facility grounds that forced them to actually report that Aaron Donald is indeed practicing. Let me ask you this. I was reading various people's works that cover the Minnesota Vikings, whether it's Mr. Gessling, it's Mr. Mizutani, it's Mr. Lewis of The Athletic.
Oh, don't forget Seifert, old school, best school.
When you talked to me yesterday, again, shorts and shells, taking L's, but having a blast down in Eagan regardless. Training camp practices are awesome. But you asked me, can you see the Frank Smith effect?
Yeah, did you feel it? I felt it yesterday from 15 miles away.
And that's the thing, is in shorts and shells, you can see that the way the O-line operates is physically different.
Sorry to clip, Stephon Diggs just signed a 1-year deal with the Commanders.
He's got big balls.
Damn. Okay, Steph.
But so you definitely felt the Frank Smith effect when pads were on, and you got to see some of that yesterday with more contact.
Yeah, I felt it while I was driving there. Then I got there and I couldn't figure out what it was because it is so important. They're hiding it. Ooh. Any questions for the Minnesota Vikings announcer who took in a ballyhooed, intense, extremely physical Minnesota Vikings practice yesterday? Any questions for the announcer?
Yeah, I actually have a talk back here. Listen to this.
Hey, PA. Hey, Nordal. This is Scott from South Minneapolis. I was listening to your show this morning via podcast on my run. You guys were talking about roster spots yesterday. So I was thinking, you were talking about Miles Price in a wide receiver position. I know he does a lot of our kick returning and I think punt returning duties, but I was thinking with Damon Claiborne on having a potential roster spot, does he do any kick returning or punt returning duties? Anything on that as far as camp notes go? Thanks. Have a good day.
Okay, I appreciate you.
As far as camp notes go, maybe number 21 showing himself, peeking in with the special teams at all?
Yeah, I believe that I've seen Damon Claiborne retrieving some punts occasionally. But I cannot completely confirm or deny that because there are a bunch of people back there who are doing punts and kick returns. So let's get to the old Google machine.
Well, here's what I'll tell you, though.
Okay, tell me.
Well, I found his stats.
Yeah.
So while attending Wake Forest, as a sophomore and junior, he took a total of 21 returns and had a total of 2 kick return TDs. Now, as a senior, he just had 1 return. So they may have pared back potentially as his offensive duties increased.
Yeah.
but he does have the experience, at least from a college equity standpoint, PA.
Well, about the only way to answer that would be is to unpack it from the baseline. Will Damon Claiborne make the team? The answer, I believe, is yes. So now, if he's in the covenant and if he's active on Sundays, then there's an opportunity. Miles Price making the team? Absolutely. So there are times with this oxymoron known as the dynamic kickoff, because quite frequently it's antithetical to anything dynamic, but the NFL wants to call it the dynamic kickoff. There are times you have two guys back there. So maybe you have Miles Price, maybe you have Damon Claiborne. I don't mind that option if that's the route they go. Like you just said, a couple of kick return touchdowns when he was playing football for Wake Forest and 22 returns. That's a fair amount over 3 years. Although last year he only returned one. So either they got bored with him or they look to use him different ways. But if Damon Claiborne is identifiable as the best kick returner on the team, then I'd have to believe that Miles Price would be taking a roster-related L. Oh, no! Because I can't see him passing 3, 14, 18, or 13 Ty Felton when it comes to being a receiver for the Minnesota Vikings. So it's Miles Price's job until it's not, but nice Damon Claiborne steam from my man on the talkback machine. All right, we got time for just one or two more questions. Anybody have any questions for the announcer who was at the physical practice yesterday receiving a complete, comprehensive review of a song called Iris?
You know, let's stay with the wide receivers for a second, if I may, Mr. Announcer.
Yes, sir.
While Ty Felton has clearly taken on a serious assignment of elevating himself and contributing in 2026 in his second year, Jauan Jennings, prized free agent addition, commonly spoken of as part of the big three of pass catchers for the Minnesota Vikings.
That's fair.
Has he shown up or splashed or asserted himself in any way thus far in camp?
Yes, yesterday, it's been a common thread with him, but there was a time yesterday that Jauan Jennings got behind the defense and looked pretty good. But if you are a tried and true Minnesota Vikings fan, then you don't want to see the best from Jauan Jennings now because he's all part of the Frank Smith effect.
I'm a kid, so I call it KFAN.
And that means Bredesen and Jennings and Claiborne and Jones and Mason and Murray and all those guys. Well, there are just so many tricks up the tattered sleeve of one Frank Smith that Jennings has had a handful of fantastic moments, but I think he's going to do his most damage under the cover of darkness. That'll be during walkthroughs and practices that the media doesn't see. And then when we start playing regular season football, that's where not only the Frank Smith effect will be in play with this running game, but Jauan Jennings will be a big part of it. Last one. Mr. Seifert, Mr. Gessling, Messer Seifert, Gessling, Mizutani, Lewis et al., the con. Final question.
Final question. You know, it's a topic that's important. We try to avoid it. We try to dig into the minutia and the Frank Smith effect and such. But in a highly touted padded practice, there's physicality, there's one-on-one drills, guys hunting for jobs. Did either quarterback separate themselves yesterday, Mr. Announcer?
Well, there was some good.
More of the same?
There was some good and there was some bad with the entire. There was some good and some not so good with the entire practice. But it was an organized, controlled, efficient situation. Now, the binoculars caught the facial expression of certain coaches during certain times. And then the beauty of it is watching it through binoculars from the exclusive Vikings Radio Network perch. They got a big screen behind them. So therefore, they'll run a play, and then certain coaches will turn around and they'll look at that big screen. The binoculars hit the screen a couple of times. And, you know, if there was a certain degree of chagrin on the countenances of certain coaches during certain offensive plays, then the binoculars would watch that screen and see who was missed or what happened. So that's all part of the work in progress. That's all part of raising new quarterbacks and young quarterbacks. But Ty Felton got over the top a couple of times. And Justin Jefferson had the most ballyhooed moment of the entire day, and the crowd was all, ooh, ah. So they left Billy, Johnny, Christy, Susie, Tamika, Antoine left having a funky good time, as did we. And we aim to give you a good time today, 9 to noon. Nordo produces, and I'm Paul Allen. A very good morning to you, Rube Nation. Courtesy of TimberTech and TimberTech.com. What's on deck 9 to noon includes Vikes Bites around the corner. 2-a-days continue. We get to the 5th game of the season at Nolans, and the 6th game of the season against the Indianapolis Colts and their Vox. Matt Taylor will join us later in the show. Ben Lieber also is in the equation, and Paul Charchian with the Fantasy Feast focus that is 9 to noon. Good morning. Thank you very much for listening to FM 100.3 KFAN. Here comes the con. The con got the cash.
The Fan and BigDeck.com want to give you a chance to win some bonus bucks, National Cash Contest style. This hour's keyword is dollar. Might win some with the keyword dollar. Enter it in at KFAN.com.
This is 9 to noon, live on iHeartRadio and KFAN, The Fan.
Try the new Crispy Chicken Chipotle Bacon Melt Burrito.
Here comes some Vikes Bites.
Vikes Bites brought to you by KinMount Exteriors, KinMountExteriors.com. Window siding, roofing, and decks. The clear quote promise. You know, the cool thing about a place like KinMount is as much as you need this project done, as excited as you are about said project, they're just as excited to work for you and work with you towards a tremendous solution to beautify your home. KinMount Exteriors is the spot to go. KinMountExteriors.com. And, you know, when the owner speaks, PA, when the owner speaks, 9 to noon listens. Mark Wilf chatting with the media yesterday on a few different topics. And, you know, I'll be honest, I can't remember who it was. It may have been, why is his name? Well, at any rate, somebody asked him about kind of, hey, did you notice the money that Seattle just got in selling the franchise? Have you ever considered that?
The business side of it is not what got us into the Minnesota Vikings. We love football. We're honored and privileged to be stewards of an incredible franchise, and our ultimate goal is to bring championships to the fans of the Minnesota Vikings who really deserve it. And that's what we're about, and that's the excitement. And we're long-term. We're a family that is going to hopefully be part of the Minnesota Vikings for a very, very long time.
Okay, so he's not selling the team, at least anytime soon. Okay, family in the mix. It's a family affair. We're fans. We want this team to win championships. And how the owner, Mark Wilf, happens to see said quarterback competition.
I can understand where the fan is, and we want to win. That's the measure, and quarterback's a hugely important position. And from ownership, our job, provide the resources to get the best players on the team. I think, you know, seeing the rookies come in, seeing a lot of guys from 24, 25, excited to see them pop a little bit this year. All of that combines, but the resources and also the leadership. And we have a lot of confidence in the leadership of our coach and GM and the rest of the team.
And you know what? Above all, you know, he wants the team to play well, of course, and win games. And what does that lead to? The ultimate goal, hoisting a Lombardi.
Ultimately, it's about more, not just playoff wins, but championships. And that is the ultimate measure. We know that. We try to be patient as an ownership, and that's what that we know is the ultimate success. But of course, patience isn't infinite. We understand that, but I feel really good about the direction of this football club, and we're going to get those benchmarks checked off here.
And then lastly, from the owner, I mean, there were more, but lastly, in terms of what stuck out to me, also praised Nolan Teasley and just kind of early returns on Mr. Teasley's involvement. A lot of positivity, not just from the owner, but from many around. And but what about Kevin O'Connell? I mean, it's year 5, and you know, how do you look at the coach?
We evaluate everything in the totality, and like I said, where Coach O'Connell has brought this entire building and this team to now, we're extremely pleased, and we look forward to great things from Coach.
The games don't count yet, PA, but Mark Wilf speaking to the media yesterday, covering the fact this is a family affair for the Wilfs. And I think at some point, I can't remember, just kind of paraphrasing, like somebody had asked, like, we've seen more of your family around in recent years, and just kind of maybe ingratiating themselves or ingraining themselves potentially in certain aspects of the business. The Wilfs love owning this team. They want to win, and Mark Wilf, very confident. I mean, again, games don't count at this moment, but sounds incredibly confident with the GM and the head coach that he has in place to make this thing work.
Well, the family tree from Ziggy down, it's been a treat, and it's been a unique part of being around a team for a quarter century where. There are some people in some prominent positions, not only with the Vikings, but, with soccer teams and other things where I've watched them grow up, and there are a lot of them. So therefore, when, he's like, we didn't get into this for the business, from a business standpoint or like a bottom line standpoint.
Yeah.
I think the reference was the Seattle Seahawks being sold and the price tag that comes with that. I'm certainly not saying that somebody's talking out of both sides of their mouths, but I mean, you get into something when you have the capital they have to profit. So you get into it as lifetime Giants fans. You own this team, and you are so good at what you do, and you have the capital to back it up, that you can cast your gaze the way of 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years later and see what the appreciation is supposed to look like. So it was a very shrewd business move at the time they made it, because the NFL, from a worldwide perspective and a TV deal perspective, absolutely has taken off exponentially. But in the heart of hearts for this family, they want to win a Super Bowl. And they want to provide a Super Bowl to this market. So that would be the A topic with the Wilf family. But I liked what I heard when he's like, he didn't give a date or an expiration date or anything. But when he said that this is in the family, then whether it's Jonathan Wilf or whoever's next on the horizon, whatever group is next on the horizon, it's when Mark and or Ziggy are done with it, it'll stay in the Wilf family, which I think is good for the Minnesota Vikings and good for Vikings fans.
Yeah, I agree. And this kind of becomes a yearly conversation, that it's not something necessarily that we're trying to impress upon people, but it feels like it comes up every year. The Wilfs, just at a base level, objectively, have done about everything you can. Like they've from a resource standpoint, and these decisions have to work out, right? So in hindsight, regarding a hire, in hindsight, then, the trickle down or the downstream effects of a draft, et cetera, those things have not gone necessarily to plan every time.
Right.
But they have provided every possible resource. They are not afraid to throw dollars at it if dollars are required to make something work.
Yeah.
And they will swing within the construct of what NFL teams can do to take said swing. So just it kind of comes up this way every year. It's like, man, 9-8, kind of feeling down about the whole thing. New GM in the mix. Here we go with the QB competition and all that. But the Wilfs have provided every possible resource for this team to take steps forward.
Not 9 to noon is not the first entity to make this proclamation. I've said it many times, but others have said it and written about it. I think Jim Souhan wrote a column about it back in the day. The Wilfs have proven out over 2+ decades to be the greatest owners of any franchise in the history of Minnesota sports. And it's off what you said. What you need, they give. But there are things that take place behind the scenes where I'm sure that they've had some pushback on some things that they didn't necessarily feel. So I can't imagine getting to that spot from a business standpoint that you acquiesce to everything. You have to be comfortable with saying no. However, just look at, from the 05-06 season to where we are now. You get to 2009. You needed $20 million for Brett Favre. They gave it. Now they gave it again the next year, and it didn't work. 2018, Cousins got the first fully guaranteed 3-year contract in the history of the NFL. The Wilfs had to sign off on that. Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center. There's a lot to miss about the intimacy of Fancato. However, what they have now from a facility standpoint and the amenities with said facility, many who come here say these are second to none as the NFL goes. Specifically, the strength and conditioning and the training program and the access they have to things most places don't have at their training facilities. Then Metrodome becomes antiquated. You're at the College Stadium for a couple of years and US Bank Stadium. So the Wilfs are behind all of that. And that's what goes into caring and loving not only what you own and wanting it to grow and taking roots for it to appreciate, because that's what business is all about, but giving every coach, every player, every general manager, every personnel staff, every account executive, every marketing maven, giving them the very best chance to win. And they've been second to none. So now it's just time to win at the highest level.
By the way, one last quick note, completely. Just the Wilfs, we get the new stadium and it opens in 2016. We just did 10 in 10 last week.
Oh, yeah.
If you remember the total cost of US Bank Stadium, and then somebody in the text line will tell me if I'm way off, it was like 1.2-ish billion. Like, let's just call it 1.2. It was somewhere between 1.1 and 1.3.
Mm-hmm.
So that was 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
The construction cost of the Chiefs' new stadium.
Oh, can you imagine if you were trying to erect a stadium in the squeeze?
Yeah. $3 billion. Wow. And I believe they're doing, and you know, these clearly amenities, the design, there are probably some aspects in there that speak to that increase. Mm-hmm. But just in 10 years, a new NFL stadium's more than twice the cost.
Which stadium was that? Buffalo?
It's
like Buffalo and Tennessee have the newest stadiums coming up.
But those are already mostly done. I can go and look at their prices. But this Chiefs new enclosed stadium, so they're doing the ETFE roof and some of the, so they can host Super Bowls and big events and stuff.
Yeah.
$3 billion.
Wow.
So it'll be open, and I think they're trending towards 2031 for that thing. So, but at any rate, new stadium. We like our owners, and it's Vikes Bites.
Vikes Bites.
Brought to you by Kinmount Exteriors, kinmountexteriors.com. TJ Hawkinson. And Saturday, a couple Saturdays ago, well, Saucy and I do the show on the perch, and we chat with Blake Brandel. That's cool, but we were talking just kind of things we're looking forward to. And with TJ Hawkinson in particular, and you can tell me if I'm way off on this, I expect certain things out of Justin Jefferson. I'm really excited and projecting some really good things for Jordan Addison and Jawan Jennings. Physicality in the run game combined with some of his abilities to find space, get open, and run with that freaking ball. Super pumped for that. But TJ Hawkinson's been kind of tough for me to project in terms of what I should expect. You know, what was it, 2 years ago? Didn't catch his first touchdown of the season until the playoff loss to the Rams.
Right.
And last year, in and out at times as well. So
I think Hawkinson was out a fair amount that year when they finished with the Rams.
Yeah, didn't he come back? Gosh, was it week 7, week 8? It was I thought it was a similar trajectory because of the injury, because of the Kirby Joseph related problem. Yeah, he ended up playing, it was like week 7 or 8 because he played in 10 games.
Yeah.
So 3 touchdowns last year. And, you know, part of the reason maybe that they redid the deal is we love you, TJ, but things maybe haven't gone according to plan. We haven't necessarily found the fruits of the financial and contract related labor that we put into this thing. But early in camp, he's talking with the media. He feels like he's connecting well with Kyler Murray.
Every day we're out here, you know, he's throwing the rock and, you know, just continuing to try to make plays for him and get open. And, you know, that's what this time's all about, is just, you know, getting the rhythm and the timing of the offense and understanding your job and understanding where you're at in the concepts. So I think, you know, it's been fun to have that time with all the quarterbacks.
And moving forward, just 2 more audio bits from Hawk here. Specifically, Hawkinson on being a Viking.
I mean, I've always, you know, loved playing for KO. He's really smart with football, obviously, you know, as an offensive mind and putting us in positions to win and you know, trusting in his players to go out there and make plays. And I think, you know, that's something that he's really, you know, done a lot throughout my time here is just, players are going to make plays and go out there and do it.
So how are you handling it mentally then? You love being here, you love the coach, and you love being put in spots to succeed, but this contract thing, man, it's your final year. You're going into the season without knowing what 2027 looks like.
I've always said this very openly, is I love this place. I've really enjoyed being here, playing for KO, playing in this locker room, being around these guys. So that's not really my focus right now. I mean, my focus is just this year, and we'll figure that out when it happens. But I've always said that there's been no secrets on how much I love this place and how much I enjoy being here.
Man, so future of Hawkinson, its final year of deal. It's hard to project what to expect out of Hawkinson. And then you get this land of opportunity vibe, PA, whether it's Chuck Demings and the rookie and the cornerback situation, land of opportunity to make plays, find yourself on the field. You're speaking to a healthy Gavin Bartholomew who missed out on his rookie season, the Pitt Panther, maybe because Brian O'Neill caught touchdowns as an offensive lineman at Pitt. Maybe Gavin Bartholomew can slide into a tackle spot and do some pass blocking as a pro with the Vikings. But to that end, land of opportunity, last year of Hawk. There's a couple of interesting things happening around TJ and a couple of position groups.
What's interesting to me with Hawkinson, with Josh Oliver, and I'm putting Bartholomew on the team. I mean, you have Marshall Lang and you have Ben Urasek, and am I missing one there? Well, you definitely got that.
Was there a Bryson Nesbitt?
Bryson Nesbitt, thank you. Nesbitt's fast too, but just for my untrained eye, Bartholomew, because we just saw none of him last year. And I think he's gotten a little taller and a little bigger too, from being, after being drafted, out of Pitt in 2025. It's Oliver. The thing with Josh is his run blocking prowess is super well respected in the NFL. But O'Connell, recognizing the age-old, that we know that you know that we know that you know that we know, when this guy's in the game, we're probably going to do this. Well, that has to be broken, and it has to be broken early in the equation. So Oliver had a season where I think he caught 3 TDs, which was a career high for him, and they started to throw more to him. So now the intonation is, when he's in the game, you may think it's an 80% run first equation, but it doesn't have to be that way because we can throw to him. Now with TJ and the way they're going to want to run the ball, and it's the whole sarcastic nature of the Frank Smith effect, is he's going to have to be key in that equation. Because, I mean, I became obsessed with this after the Vikings lost to the LA Rams in the playoffs. And I'm watching this, with they got Higbee, but they also had this rookie tight end named Davis Allen and another tight end, I can't remember his name. But the way they used their tight ends, when I left it, I was just like, wow. I mean, we're looking at a shift to what high-end offensive coaches are doing to get people open and to run the football. So then Ben Johnson gets to the Chicago Bears, and the way he manipulated Colston Loveland, Cole Kmet, and Durham Smythe. Now Smythe is gone, but they brought in a rookie tight end who probably is going to be better than Smythe.
Oh yeah, that Roush cat.
Yeah, Roush, that's who it was. I think also from Stanford. But the point here is when you do what's known as 13 personnel. I mean, you got a back and you got 3 tight ends. Is you need to be able to throw the ball when you have the Olivers and Bartholomews in the game, and you need to be able to run the ball when you got Hawkinson in the game. That's why I've spoken the way I have about Jordan Mason. With the way this running game is supposed to be once we start playing regular season games, and they're very, very high on what their running game is going to look like this year at certain facets of the game. Is with Mason, you're going to come into the season, and Jonathan Gannon, defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers, he's going to look at it like, okay, Well, when you have Mason in the game, the percentage you're going to run between the tackles with him is this, and the percentage you're going to throw to him is this, and it's quite low. So getting Mason outside of the hash marks, cutting in however the wide zone scheme's going to look, that's massive. Now with Hawkinson, being able to use him in non-obvious situations is going to keep him on the field because Jennings is going to block. Jefferson's run blocking jumped off the charts last year because good for JJ too. He wasn't catching passes, and he recognized we got some problems here with me getting open because I'm getting doubled and tripled all the time, and we're raising a kid on the fly. So he really put a focus on the run blocking aspect of his game. Now, when people start seeing Justin in games, you're going to recognize his upper body and his arms have gotten a lot bigger. So that goes to the next wave of what he's expecting from himself. In that, I can do this with my legs, and I got this 40-inch vertical, and I can win 50-50s if you give me a chance. But when you want to run it, I can do this too. So a lot of this ties into Hawkinson because the pass protection and the run blocking and the physicality are so important to what they're trying to do this year. If you can't do it, and when you're in the game, there's a tell that you're not going to run certain ways or run certain plays, then he's probably going to have his reps cut. But he's the fastest of all the tight ends. I would imagine he runs the best routes of all the tight ends. You should be able to stroke the post with him. They never really have lobbed a lot to Hawkinson in the end zone, but now you have Juwan Jennings for that. So TJ is a fascinating factor with this team. The contractually means nothing to me. It's how he's going to fit in with so many new things that are coming offensively for the Vikings, the look and impact of the running game, potentially a quarterback you can actually design runs for and make them work because he's lickety-split fast, and TJ's a big part of that.
Then completely changed. You mentioned Juwan Jennings and lobs. When I saw him out there, again, shorts and shells, he's all a 6'3", 6'4". He was standing next to KO. I'm like, whoa, I had no idea that Jennings was that big.
Juwan, yeah, my bad.
Juwan, yes, yeah. Juwan Jennings was that big.
Yeah.
So
and he's thick, too.
Yeah, he absolutely is. That's Vikes Bites, and it's provided by Kinmount Exteriors. You want to learn how maybe you can save $1,000 on an upcoming big-time project? Get to KinmountExteriors.com. And you'll love what Paul, Craig, and Clay are doing over there at Kinmount.
Yeah, we thank Kinmount Exteriors for picking up the freight on Vikes Bites. TimberTech is age-old, 9 to noon. Steve's Appliances with the marathon segments. Hoffman Cooling and Heating with the weekend wrap. If you're interested in taking part in 9 to noon or KFAN from an advertising standpoint, whether you have a small business or you have a big business or something in between, email marketing@kfan.com. marketing@kfan.com, and make the letter out to Lonnie and just lay out the who, what, where, when, and why. And maybe we can start making plays together. Marketing@kfan.com. 9 to noon started unfurling 2-a-days earlier this week, and we are up to the 5th and 6th teams on the schedule. We have the New Orleans Saints at the Saints before the bye and hosting the Indianapolis Colts out of the bye. We'll start 2-a-days around the corner, focusing on the team from the Bayou. It's 9:48. You're listening to 9 to noon on FM 100.3 KFAN. 9 to noon started an on-the-fly seg or segza called 2-a-days earlier this week. We started with Green Bay and Chicago, handled at Tampa Bay. And who was the second one yesterday?
Why is it?
Who's the fourth game of the... thank you, Miami, Jimmy Cephalo, though. Yep. And we are on to the New Orleans Saints. Then after the Saints, the Minnesota Vikings have a Week 6 bye. They come out of the bye with the Indianapolis Colts. Their Vox, Matt Taylor, will join us next segment. But we continue the two-a-day portion of the equation with the game in front of the bye. It's at New Orleans against the Saints.
Yeah, how about this? They were 6-11. I mean, the state of the NFC South is so interesting. We mentioned it with the Bucs yesterday. They're favored, but it's kind of tenuous in terms of how the South's going to pan out. And Carolina, I mean, just grinding their way to a division win, best of the lousiest, lousiest to the best.
Yeah.
And right behind them were the New Orleans Saints, the three-way 8-9 tie, followed by these Bayou-loving Saints. They were hideous last season, PA. They went 6-11. Spencer Rattler was terrible. So they switched to rookie, the Louisville kid, Tyler Shook, against the Los Angeles Rams, week 9. So they were 1-8, 1-7 into that game. They get absolutely housed by the Rams in Shook's first start, but they went 5-3 the rest of the way with young Tyler. Now, the defense was middling to bad. Offense was statistically dreadful. But what's interesting to me, so when I tell you with Tyler Shook under center, and they go 5-3 their final 8. When I tell you that, you're thinking something changed potentially with the offense. Maybe we finally activated Olave at a high level, and I didn't dig into game logs, so I can't speak to maybe that being part of the case. But here's the deal, PA. The defense allowed 26 per game in Spencer Rattler's starts last year, and even allowed 34 in Shook's first start. But overall, with Tyler Shook playing quarterback, the defense allowed just 19 per game over the final 9. So young Tyler, maybe he's Tyler the Creator, Bayou style, eating that soul food. He had one fewer TD a game to chase, and they won those games, including 4 of their final 5 games of the season. So, retooling that defense, if you look at what they did into the draft, I mentioned the issues potentially on defense and the need to get better. They still, the majority of it's Jordan Tyson, that high-flying cat, was at Arizona State, that he came out of, their first-round pick, the wide receiver to pair with Olave. Then you get Bryce Lance, another wideout in the 4th round.
Better take a glance at Lance.
Yeah, better take a glance at Lance. Fargo go crazy. Will he have a better career than his older brother, Trey? We shall see. But Barry and Brown, they drafted 3 wide receivers in this draft, PA. They also picked up a guard and then Oscar Delp, a tight end in the 3rd. So adding Noah Fant, they added David Edwards at guard, an O-lineman. Beyond that, I think everyone would agree their biggest offseason acquisition was Travis Etienne.
Yep.
Or I believe maybe now it's Achan. I forget the pronunciation game.
Etienne.
The
letters ETN.
But in the spring, I think he changed it. That's why I'm saying. I think
name change terrorism again.
I think there was another pronunciation change.
I mean, what mom gave you wasn't good enough.
I'm gonna, you know what? Now I'm just gonna put this thing to an elite mid segment. It's now Achan.
Travis Achan?
It is Achan.
Okay. Achan. Nous regardons la télévision. Pourquoi?
So it is indeed Achan. But now Alvin Kamara, Achan et al., including Ty Chandler.
Yeah, that's right.
New Orleans Saints.
Yep.
But I want to jump to some audio from their camp. What's the vibe with this upcoming opponent, the New Orleans Saints? I'm going to start here, though. Brandon Staley's group, Cam Jordan, returning for his 16th season.
It'll be 16 years. I never had to leave. On the chance that I was going to leave, it didn't happen, so there's no need to talk about it. At this point, I'm black and gold through and through, and I'm able to say, for my entire career, I played for one team. Unless they decide to trade me this year, that would be weird, because then I wouldn't go. I'd have to walk off and never look back. But other than that, just knowing that I'm valued in this team, I can bring value to this team, and I think this team has their eyes on the prize. I talk to these guys in the offseason like I was still a part of the team, still in all the group chats. I had to leave one of them. I left my D-line chat for a couple of days, and I signed back. I was like, well, never mind, add me back in.
Eyes on the prize.
When I think about what this team can do, we're on the cusp of realizing our potential last year, and that's all you can hope for is knowing that you have major potential that you have to achieve.
6-win team on the cusp.
Eyes on what prize? The Super Bowl? I think the most realistic eyes on a prize for the New Orleans Saints would be 3 hurricanes for the price of 1 at Pat O'Brien's.
I always love that one.
And I'll be there. We've had that conversation before, though, PA, isn't it? So 32 teams don't necessarily believe they're going to the Super Bowl this year. 32 teams do not necessarily believe they can get their eyes to the prize. But 32 teams kind of have to believe this time of year that they can do something. Does that make sense? Where it's pragmatically, heart of hearts, yeah. I mean, it's going to be tough. But if XYZ, ABC, Z goes correctly, then we might have a chance to be competitive this year. And maybe that's where Kellen Moore's Saints are at this particular point. You hear from Cam Jordan, and he's going to be the elder statesman in a defensive group. The way everybody talks, and I mentioned that Ahhhs was their biggest pickup at running back. A lot of people are pumped about Caden Ellis stepping in there defensively. I think they picked him up from the Falcons and kind of solidifying the linebacker room. But I was reading Jeff Duncan's work. He covers myriad sports for NOLA.com. He mentions that Chase Young, Kool-Aid McKinstry have been two of his biggest standouts in camp. And Chase Young trying to rectify his career somewhere he was. And I can't remember where he jumped around, but initially I believe he was with the Commanders. And whether it was an injury situation or whatnot, it didn't work out, went somewhere else, found his way to the Saints on the cheap. And he's been playing lights out for him. Kool-Aid McKinstry, the Bama Cat, with the interesting name, and playing corner for them. Two of their biggest standouts in that defensive room. Now, you hear from Cam Jordan. What about this running back I mentioned, Ahhhs, et cetera? Here's Kellen Moore talking about the RB room.
In your eyes, what is the running back room like?
Running back room, I think it's a really deep room. Nice blend of experience like Travis, like Alvin, and then these young guys. We're going to have a ton of opportunities through joint practices and these preseason games to give these guys as much exposure as they can. And so feel great about that group.
I'm just curious if it's over for Alvin Kamara, PA. I mean, you're kind of chasing box scores a little bit when it comes to the Saints, but Alvin Kamara just 650 yards total from scrimmage. That's rushing and receiving. Just found his way into the end zone once last year. Now, 2 years ago, I mean, maybe it wasn't over. He had 1,500 yards and 8 TDs. But you know where I'm going with this, where when we saw him young, specifically his rookie season, and there was a miracle in the mix, and then you saw him getting coffee at the Rotunda at MOA while we were lamenting the Philly flop and all of that. Sky or trajectory, statistically, career was nothing was going to limit him. And for the most part, you can't argue with the fact that, he has been uber productive over the course of his career, but maybe age is coming up. I mean, he dropped 6 in Zimmer's lap on a Christmas day once, but it just doesn't feel like they're getting, hence the Ahhhs acquisition. But that combo, and then maybe it's Ty Chandler in the mix. Kellen Moore, very excited about that running back room for the Saints.
And to be excited about the running backs room, you need to be excited about the throwing game, because Kevin O'Connell, I think it was press conference, or I've seen and or heard so much from Kevin of late. I can't remember where he said it, but when he was talking about, might have been with McCarthy, and when you have young quarterbacks, that there was he kind of intimated, when you have a young quarterback, it stacks things up against the running game until you pull teams out of it. Well, the Saints was shocked they're going to be facing that, whether they have Ahhhs, ETN, Kamara, or Chuck Muncie, they now have voluminous film on this quarterback. And they clearly are going to, defenses are going to stack it up against that running game. Their offensive line, I think their offensive line's okay. I don't think it's upper end, but I don't think it's the worst.
There was there were various press conferences with Kellen where he was getting peppered about Cesar Ruiz, and just like, that thing needs to be better. Yep. That's the vibe down there right now.
Right. And defensively, like you mentioned, they weren't noteworthy last year. So the good thing for them is if they catch lightning in a bottle, and if A, which gets you to B, to C, to D, to E, to F, if they all work and they win more games than people think, well, they're in a division that is winnable. I mean, Tampa Bay, the way Tampa Bay finished last year, and with some things going on now, I think they're okay. They're beatable. But Carolina's good and improving, and Carolina's one of the most physical teams in the NFL, in a division where there's a lot of style, where the Atlanta Falcons are a fast team.
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts is a fast tight end. Drake London's a fast wide receiver. The quarterbacks both run. The Buccaneers have a lot of speed all over the place. So Carolina found a way to bully its way to a division title. Now needed Tampa Bay to do a little bit of a moonwalk to get there, but this is anything but, like considered one of the better divisions in the NFL.
It's the AL Central, PA.
A fair way to look at it. Yeah, that's a very fair way to look at it. And New Orleans has a puncher's chance because it's in that division. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do. But as two-a-days would go, from Green Bay to Chicago to Tampa Bay, Miami here, then you're at New Orleans, and then you have the Colts out of the bye. All of the games up to the bye week absolutely are winnable for the Minnesota Vikings. I expect them to win the home opener. No matter who the quarterback is, you don't lose the home opener to your division rival. And I like O'Connell against LaFleur. Last year, okay, you're at the Bears. Bears end up being the best in show, winning the division. You should have beaten them twice. You were 98% in a non-playoff year for the Vikings to beat the division champions twice. Then after that, you're at Tampa. Feels like that could have some pick'em to it. Certainly wouldn't guarantee a victory, but it's a winnable game. You come home and you should beat the Miami Dolphins. You should beat the New Orleans Saints. Then you get to the bye. So, if you want to win this division, and if you want to be taken more seriously than maybe some national pundits are taking the Vikings with that 8.5 wins total, 4-1, 5-0 into the bye is required.
Yeah, indeed it is. And you know what? We have Josh Metellus here, and it's kind of fun doing these two-a-days because you dig in and you learn some bits.
Yeah.
So there's this second-year cat, Jonas Sanker. He's a corner/safety that they drafted out of Virginia, third round last year. Well, apparently he's the new school Josh Metellus, where they have him playing what they were referring to as the star position. So he's not just as a nickel corner. They'll have him drop as a linebacker. They'll have him play center field as a safety. They'll have him in blitz situations. They truly are trying to use him the way that Flores has used Metellus.
Yeah.
And here's Kellen Moore talking about that.
How have you seen Sanker develop? Is it blitzer just kind of day over day as he gets more reps?
Yeah, done a really nice job. Transitioning that star. I think he's just done an awesome job through the whole offseason of just, continue to own that role, get really good at it. His ability, he's a really talented player and he can cover in there, but also that pressure thing is obviously a valuable asset, and his size and his exposure to being on the back end and playing safety, I think all lends to him being able to play that role in a really good way.
So in a DB room that includes Kool-Aid McKinstry, and then Justin Reed, they got him from the Chiefs a while back, Julian Blackmon, formerly of the Colts. You just look out for Jonas Sanker. You might want to have him on the depth chart with a star next to his name as he plays the star and runs all over the field trying to confuse whoever's starting as the Vikings quarterback. Now,
I like that take because I like players like that. And players like that are the types of players that come up out of nowhere. Like for instance, when we chat next segment with Matt Taylor, the Vox for the Indianapolis Colts, I recorded that interview earlier this morning. I asked him a question about the Green Bay Packers, and I'm like, all right, well, outside of the covenant for a second, Zaire Franklin, 8 years with the Colts. What is Green Bay getting? And I guess I had forgotten this, but Matt mentioned you don't get many, if hardly ever any, 7th round draft picks who last as long as he has and do what he has done. So Franklin, as a 7th round pick, can be a key contributor. While people are looking at Michael Parsons, and first round picks, and Lucas Van Ness, and things like that.
And they've been singing his praises over there too.
Have they? He's having a good camp.
Yeah.
So the Saint you just mentioned It's players like that who add to the cohesive nature in the ultimate team game and do so from out of nowhere. And that's what takes teams like the Saints from bad to either mediocre or good, or mediocre to good to very good-ish when you find players like that.
Ryan Wright, I can't talk about the Saints without talking about our former punter, PA. Congratulations to he and his wife. I learned while listening to his presser, they welcomed a baby earlier this summer. So congrats to him. But how's camp going, Ryan?
How's everything going for camp? It's going good. I'm getting to know the guys a little bit better. Obviously, I missed those 3 weeks back in OTAs when my wife was giving birth to my son, and it's been good. I'm really liking the group. It's a very fun group, and I think it's going to be a good year.
How much work?
Via Jeff Duncan, as I mentioned earlier, covers this squad for NOLA. He wrote this: getting their kicks. Veteran Ryan Wright is a massive upgrade in the punting game, where his powerful right leg will be a weapon. He also has shown excellent touch on placement punts inside the 10. So watch out for flipping that field. Former Viking Ryan Wright, plus size punter. And then lastly, my last bit of audio, and then we'll pause. Tyler Shuck, year 2, what's up?
Yeah, I think there's obviously previous reps to look back on, and having that familiarity with the offense. So having a guy like Jordan, who's running plays for the first time, and being able to kind of talk to him through the thought process, but also a lot of great stuff was done too, and kind of prop those guys, and I can continue to do that and get better, and maybe take ownership for something as well. That's what practice is about, being able to talk with each other and go out there and kind of reevaluate what had happened. We're installing plays. It's not always going to be perfect, so how do we kind of put that rep in the bank and keep going?
So this team still has Spencer Rattler. They also added Zach Wilson in free agency from Miami. So trying to figure out, make sure their QB room is right. But for now, it sounds like full speed ahead with Tyler Shuck. So that's what's ahead of us, PA. That last game down in NOLA before we hit the bye.
Well, for the New Orleans Saints, and this is for a lot of teams. They're the second year quarterback, who at the times I followed him last year, I was surprisingly impressed. And I think Kellen Moore has a lot to do with that. Really good with offense, really good raising quarterbacks. But the thing that was, how many did they win last year? 6?
They were 6-11. Yeah.
Wow. See, I bet you their season wins total was probably 4.5. So they probably went over that last year.
Oh, they were absolutely hideous.
Yeah.
I thought you were getting. It started to swing minus. It was like 2.5. Like they were supposed to be the worst team in the NFL,
man. And 2.5.
Good times, bad times. I may have seen the Lions clearly, but I could have sworn that the Saints were going to win 2 games last year, and they overperformed it. Tyler Shuck, how about that?
Okay, so when it comes to rushing the quarterback, like the Philadelphia Eagles, now Jalen Carter was hurt at times last year, but the Eagles are a well-respected team. The Tennessee Titans have Jeffrey Simmons. The Washington Commanders have a defensive-minded coach in Dan Quinn. And I could keep going with like Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Vita Vea, and, the Green Bay Packers had Micah Parsons. Now, granted, they lost him near the end, but I think he had 10 sacks while he was there. Here's the point, is the New Orleans Saints finished last year either in the top 10 or right near the top 10 for sacks. So they had 45 sacks last year, which is a number that quite honestly surprised me. The Seattle Seahawks, Super Bowl champions, they had 47. The Los Angeles Rams with Fisk and Verse and Young and rushing the quarterback the way they do, they had 47. The Vikings with Van Ginkel when he played, Grenard, Dallas Turner, and a blitz-happy defense, they finished, I think, 5th in the NFL with 49. So the Saints finishing last year with just 4 sacks fewer than the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, if somebody had told me that without looking that up, I'd be like, no chance. No chance. So if that can improve, well, that's going to be nothing but bona fide for them. And the second point for them and for all teams is the take give. And I think last year they finished -4. which I would think the New Orleans Saints and a rookie quarterback and being the Saints, they would be like a -11, -12, -13. I think they were -4 last year, which bodes well moving forward to improve off that, because it doesn't look like from a quarterback sacking standpoint or from a take-give standpoint that it doesn't look like they have much work to do to improve that to get into the top 10 or top 7. And if they can do that, and if they can run with the backs and take heat off the quarterback and get the ball to Olave and a couple of nice tight ends, then this team in that division has a puncher's chance to win the division. I wouldn't bet on it, and I would bet their season totals probably 5.5 or 6.5 for the wins. But it's when you fall in a division like that and you can sack the quarterback in top 10, top 12 fashion like last year, if that can get better, and you can get your take give to a push or a +2, +3, +4, that's how you make some memories.
And that's a look ahead. That's part of Two-A-Days, and I'm excited to hear your full conversation with Matt Taylor and get a peek at these Colts. Danny Dimes healthy. I think they just re-upped Jonathan Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
Indy fans probably feeling good on a Thursday morning here.
Two-A-Days goes to game number 6, but week number 7, and the Indianapolis Colts. Let's not forget before Dimes went down, and they made that big Sauce Gardner trade. Now, they got 7 games in their first year with Charvarius Ward, the former Niner. So he was having a good run of it, then he got hurt. And they traded for Sauce, and there was no Ward because he got hurt, and then Dimes got hurt, and the whole thing just absolutely went kaput. But with Jones back and practicing at full speed, they lost to Forrest Buckner for a large part of the year last year due to a neck injury. He's cleared and he's practicing. Buckner and Grover Stewart make up one of the better defensive tackle tandems in the NFL. So they feel they're strong on the back end. They feel they're strong with the interior pass rush. They like their offensive line. And they have Jonathan Taylor, the speedy Alec Pierce, who got a boatload, to come to the Indianapolis, to re-sign with the Indianapolis Colts. They have one of the 3 to 5 best tight ends in the NFL in Ty Warren, and they like all that so much they could let Michael Pittman Jr. walk. If they can keep this team healthy, the Indianapolis Colts, when Daniel Jones got hurt last year, they were number 1 in the NFL for points per game. I mean, they were really, really blowing up the metrics and the standard stats before Jones went down. We'll chat about them with Two-A-Days with their Vox Matt Taylor around the corner. But first,
The Fan and BigDeck.com want to give you a shot at some bonus bucks with the National Cash Contest. This hour's keyword is rich. You won't get rich, but you can win with the keyword rich. Just enter it in at KFAN.com.
You're listening live.